period, because, again, you're not allowed legally to hold them for more than that. We will move them into sanctuary cities.
The president also says more troops will be sent to the border. A security issue near the White House.
A law enforcement official tells ABC News he was in the park directly in front of the White House, known as Lafayette Park, when he lit his jacket on fire while he was wearing it. Secret Service responded, extinguished the fire, and offered first aid.
ABC's Serena Marshall. New gun law.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis was surrounded by family members of people who were killed by gun violence as he signed what's known as a red flag bill. It's a law 36 Colorado counties oppose, and one sheriff has proclaimed he will not enforce. The law allows judges to order guns be taken away from people if they're deemed a risk to themselves or others. Governor Polis.
It's a critical tool for families, for judges, for law enforcement to help reduce gun violence consistent with our Second Amendment rights.
Colorado becomes a 15th state to enact such a law. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Taking effect today, anyone who is transgender is barred from enlisting in the military.
I spent 9 months in Afghanistan rotating around to different outposts, from the biggest bases to the smallest bases. And not only was I welcome everywhere I went, but I was requested to go to all of these small outposts because they had heard good things about my care. So not only was I ready to deploy, but I increased as a physical therapist the readiness of almost 2,000 service members that I treated while I was in Afghanistan.
Army Captain Alvaya Stelik, a transgender woman. A 5-year-old child hospitalized after officials say he was shoved or pushed from a balcony at Minnesota's Mall of America. A man is charged with attempted homicide. You're listening to ABC News.
There's nothing like meeting face-to-face, and there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect and do business across town or around the world. Zoom ties together all of your communication needs into one easy platform for video conferencing, phone calls, group chat, webinars, and your conference rooms. Connect easily from anywhere, your mobile phone, your laptop, or conference room. Zoom is how business gets done. Get your free account at Zoom.com today. Meet happy with Zoom.
We alarm our houses, and we alarm our cars. But when it comes to your personal information, it can be tough to know when something isn't right. That's where Discover Card can help. Now, we'll send you an alert if we find your Social Security number on any one of thousands of risky websites. And this service is free for card members. Just sign up online. It's our way of looking out for you, not just your account. Learn more at discover.com/free alerts. Limitations apply.
Another guilty plea in the college admissions cheating scandal. Officials say Mark Rydell was paid off to take standardized tests.
Prior to his arrest, Rydell was an alum and director of the college entrance exam preparation at the prestigious IMG Academy in Florida. Rydell saying in a statement, "I am profoundly sorry for the damage I have done and grief I have caused those as a result of my needless actions," but denying he was involved in any bribery, saying, "I absolutely, unequivocally never bribed anyone."
ABC's Lindsay Davis. An investigation underway after surveillance video from a Chicago high school shows a teen dragged by police officers.
The father of the 16-year-old girl was called to the school to pick up his daughter in January. She had been kicked out of class for refusing to put away her cell phone. New surveillance video shows officers taking Denigma Howard down, pulling her down some stairs and holding her to the ground before tasing her.
I couldn't believe I seen, 2 sworn police officers of Chicago abusing my daughter like this.
The family's attorney is glad there's video because the girl was initially charged
with 2 felonies for aggravated assault against a peace officer.
They're now suing Chicago Public Schools and the officers. Ryan Burrow, ABC News, Chicago.
Coffee is not essential. At least in Switzerland, the country began storing emergency reserves of coffee between World War I and World War II. But now officials say coffee is not essential for human survival. This is ABC News.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate. But you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why we offer tools to give you a deeper sense of the people behind the paper, like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Increase your visibility to great candidates with the free sponsored job upgrade on your first job posting at Indeed.com/promo. The sponsored job upgrade is a $50 sponsored job credit. Users are charged once the credit is spent or it expires. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Chuck Severson, ABC News.
From the KMET Weather Center for Beaumont in the Pass area. Today, partly cloudy, little breezy at times with a high of 70. Tonight, cloudy, a low of 44. Saturday, sunny and 75. Saturday night, clear, 46 for the overnight low. And Sunday, partly sunny and 74. For the Inland Empire today, look for sunshine and a high of 73. And for the desert cities, sunny with a high near 80. I'm Rich Summers for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
The Century Group newspapers are published and delivered every Friday. The Yucaipa-Calimesa News Mirror, the Banning Beaumont Record Gazette, the Highland Community News, and the Fontana Herald News are the dominant local news voices in their communities. And Sun Lakes Life serves the retirement community of Sun Lakes and Banning. Subscriptions for 1 year are $24.95, and for those 65 plus, the cost is $19.95. Go to centurygroup.com for details. That's centurygroup.com and subscribe today.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
Well, hello. Good afternoon. Once again, that's 951-922-3532. And remember to keep those tabs on the top of your browser to www.kmet1490am and the educatedretirementradio.com for more questions, answers, almost a daily blog. I put on 2 this morning, so hopefully that's good. And before we get to our guest, and I do want to get to him pretty quick, but I know how important it is to make sure you know that this is, do I have a drum roll? I guess we don't have, you know those soundboards people have on radio shows? I guess I don't like them that much, but if I had one, I would do a drum roll before letting you know that today is Grilled Cheese Sandwich Day. Or maybe the drum roll would come now. Okay. Honoring all types of grilled cheese sandwiches. All right? So consider one of it is considered to be one of the top comfort foods in the U.S. So what is your favorite comfort food? I got to admit that along with this, I'm probably going to put macaroni and cheese above grilled cheese sandwiches. But, you know, things like cheese, I think, has a lot to do with what is a favorite. Not just in this country, but all around the world, because we are international here. So that makes a big connection with macaroni and cheese. Now, just to let you know, my wife calls these kind of sandwiches, calls them toasted cheese sandwiches. Now, when she does that at a restaurant or whatever, people look at her sideways I am pretty used to it. I don't know why, but I hear it myself. I have no idea, and it should be completely turned off. And if you're out there listening to it, I know it's a treat to hear me twice, but it could get to you after a little while. I think I found it. But and let me know, Sean, if you think it's done. But for those of you listening to me twice, it's gone back to 1, I think. Even though I'm as big enough to be 2, if you see it on the screen. So, toasted cheese sandwich. And her favorite toasted cheese sandwich, and I'd like to know where yours is, or grilled cheese sandwich, is a place called Paradise Bakery in Ventura, downtown, and it is great. This is a little place. It's packed. It's, if you're ever in Ventura, and you are once in a while, I know that, 222 East Main Street. So just think it's twice as good as any other grilled cheese sandwich. 222 East Main Street. But just for art, because we're here for education, not only for reverse mortgages, but for grilled cheese sandwiches. The modern version started in 1920 with the advent, big word for me, of inexpensive sliced bread and inexpensive American cheese. So there. I guess that's why people really, best things in sliced bread. I think we found the reason why that saying is so popular. Because of, that's right, toasted cheese sandwiches. Just to let you know, anybody going up to the grill to the Sacramento area, and if you're up there, Sacramento's Grilled Cheese Festival is happening, I believe, this weekend. So Randy, if Randy's listening, that's where he will find a whole bunch of grilled cheese sandwiches. It's also International Day of Human Space Flight, and that marks the anniversary of the first manned space flight with cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin in 1961. And the same date, which was kind of a surprise for me, not the year, actually 20 years later, was the first space shuttle was also on this day. And I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but I think I know it. But what I know may or may not be. I guess Nixon asked NASA for one thing. He was trying to scale down the program. He asked NASA for one item that people could see in the movie 2001, and that was the space shuttle. So I remember my wife and I went down to see Discovery when it rolled down the street in LA, and that was quite a sight. And I know this isn't today, but tomorrow, International Record Store Day. That is a big thing for me. So it's truly all over the world, and I've got about 8,000 LPs right now and counting. Started in 2008 to celebrate the culture of the independently owned vinyl record store, because big places like Tower were gone, but now they're coming back. So a lot of special limited edition record releases and some re-releases. So they have that twice a year. One is going to be tomorrow, and the other one is on Black Friday. So it happens twice a month. Now, I'm going to skip some of the stuff I normally talk about because it's getting late for Glenn. Now, Glenn will be here throughout the show, but I want to get started right now with Glenn. So go ahead and take over, and then we have another person. Well, let's get to Glenn's intro first, and then we'll switch over. Glenn?
Yeah, how are you? I'm excited to be here with you, Jay.
Well, no, I'm more excited to be with you. No?
Well, I was hearing you talk about those grilled cheese sandwiches, and it was making me hungry.
I know, but see, I'm always hungry, so it doesn't matter to me. And for those of you that see me, I have a special wide angle lens on this camera, and of course I have to use it. So there. Now, Glenn, I know you're going to be with us for a bit. Let's see. We have Sean. You said there's somebody else, and remember, I'm old, so I forget things quickly. Jonathan, are you there?
You're on, Jonathan.
Okay, Jonathan, are you with us? We're glad to have you with us. Well, if Jonathan having some kind of problem getting through, or we are getting through to him, we'll come back to him. All right, Sean? So let's go back to Glenn. Now, Glenn, we've got a few segments, a couple more segments. We're on here until just about 4 o'clock. So let's talk about some of the overview of some of the subjects. I know I always like to talk about, because I talk too much, and we're talking about retirement. I like everybody to know about trusts. I think that's maybe the most important thing we can talk about. We need to talk about a little bit about, well, in this state it's Medi-Cal, but you know the equivalent in the rest of the country. And we need to talk about elder abuse and how to keep from having any of that. And anyone has any questions, please call in and ask Glenn. So go ahead, Glenn. Those are just 3 subjects that came up, but whatever you think we should be talking about, go ahead and let's start with an overview before our break, and then we'll get into specifics after that.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah, so, when it comes to estate planning, we help clients all over the country with everything from asset protection planning to wills and trusts to business succession planning, legacy planning. And a lot of times when we sit with people, one of the questions that they have is, why is this so important?
Jonathan, are you with us, Jonathan?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're almost on I mean, I'm happy that you're here, but we're almost to break time, believe it or not, because time goes fast, just like the last 73 years of my life. But tell us who you are, Jonathan, and what's on your mind. And if we have to go through the break, just hang on. And remember, we do have a elder lawyer, an elder care lawyer, with us.
Does he know about Medicare or Medi-Cal?
I'm hoping he did, because I brought that up as a subject.
Oh, okay.
Glenn?
Good.
For sure, yeah, Jonathan.
If I do a reverse mortgage, well, how will that affect my Medi-Cal? Can I still? Oh, and plus I'm working for a part-time job, and will it affect my Medi-Cal? My Medi-Cal.
Okay, I have an answer for that too, but you're the expert, Glenn.
So you're on long-term care Medi-Cal, or what kind of Medi-Cal program?
Just the regular Medi-Cal.
Just regular Medi-Cal. So my understanding is that it wouldn't affect your Medi-Cal, but I'll go ahead and let Jay answer in regards to the reverse.
Okay, the reverse could affect the Medi-Cal unless you do it correctly. And I think Glenn will chime in if I'm doing anything wrong, but you could have $6 million in your retirement account, have a Rolls Royce, and live in a $12 million, 30,000 square foot home, and none of that will affect your Medi-Cal. Correct, Glenn?
Unless you're on long-term care Medi-Cal.
Yeah,
there's different programs.
But what will affect it is if you have too much money in your bank account at one time. They look at it, and I think, Glenn, they look at it as the amount of income that you make and shows up in your bank account. Now, I've done many reverse mortgages for people who are on and right now I'm doing one for someone getting ready to go on Medi-Cal. What we have to make sure is that there is no large one-time lump sum that's going into your bank account. If it does go into your bank account, it has to come out right away or before
Within
the
30
end of the
days.
month.
That's
So what I'm doing for this person right now is we're getting no cash out at closing, which is fine, but that person will have access to anything in the growing line of credit as time goes on. Just that person cannot take out more than, $3,000 per month. Or if that person does take that much tax-free money out of their reverse mortgage, they need to spend it before the end of the month. Now, as far as your part-time job is concerned, as long as that part-time job doesn't overcome that number of maximum per month, you would be fine. And you know what, with a reverse mortgage, if you have a loan right now, we'd get rid of that payment, make it, so where you could pay it if you wanted to, but didn't. But you'd always have cash available. Just make sure that at the end of the month, the cash available is less than the, 3,000, Glenn? Do you know the California?
For income limits?
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah, so
I
that
don't make,
is the
I don't, I
only
make about
government
an
program I can think of where a reverse mortgage does have an effect. Now, it's not going to stop you from getting one. We just have to be sure that you take care of it correctly. If you're paying off $1 million loan, whatever, no problem whatsoever. So I hope, does that answer the question or come close?
I think so. So that means I can still keep my job and do a reverse mortgage even if I have Medi-Cal.
Correct.
Correct. You just need to make sure that the money doesn't sit in
The
your
short
bank
answer
account.
is yes. And we would make sure that you didn't do anything in the future to jeopardize the Medi-Cal, because that's important.
Now, if I have rental income, will that affect it too?
It has, I think the part of that would affect it would be the net income. And that net income, again, couldn't exceed that number of $3,000 a month. Or
Oh yeah, yeah. I rent a couple rooms out to some buddies of mine.
Yeah. No, I don't think that won't.
Okay.
Where do you live? Maybe I'll move in if you got more room.
I live in Stockton, California.
Oh, okay. Well, it sounds good to me. So, did you hear what I said about the the festival coming up in Sacramento?
No, I didn't. I missed that part.
Oh, well. Are you going to be in Stockton soon?
No.
Oh, well, okay. Well, next time you get up there, say hello for me.
I'm visiting friends down here in Southern California, and I heard you on the radio.
Yeah, I've got a friend who comes from Stockton. He's pretty ugly, though,
Yeah.
So,
I think I know who he is.
yeah, because, those people from Stockton, you know how they are. No, they're not. But I think he's listening, so I want to make sure he gets everything he can out of it.
Okay. All right, guys. I appreciate you answering my question.
Yeah, well, that's a great question, actually. That's really a great question. So thanks very, very much, and hope to hear from you again.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And remember, the educatedretirementradio.com, and everything is there. And now I think we better do a break. I think we're probably a couple of minutes late for the break. And before we go, just reminding you, this is KMET 1490. Call 951-922-3532.
Top Line Industrial Supply, your destination for industrial tools and supplies. We make hoses while you wait, hydraulic, air, water, and custom brake lines. Take advantage of our large selection of fasteners from grade 5 to grade F911 and a full line of stainless steel bolts. Our no-cost outside shop service keeps you stocked at no extra charge. Come by one of our 2 convenient locations in Beaumont and Temecula and visit top-lineindustrial.com. At Top Line Industrial, we don't just sell products, we sell solutions.
Here's Replete Vegan Skincare founder Elizabeth Thoreau.
Investing in your beauty is investing in quality of your life. The secret is in Replete Spring Serum Complex. It puts elasticity back in your jawline contour for completely remodeling the effects of winter. It improves firmness. It gets rid of sagging and wrinkles. And it puts the smoothness, radiance, and freshness you want in a spring day.
RepleteSkincare.com for your skin to look and feel its best.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Don't miss out on the free KMET smartphone apps. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
You're out of letterhead. What do? Lithopass Printing. You need business cards? Now what? Lithopass Printing. Invitations to a wedding? Lithopass Printing in Bannon and Yucaipa is the answer. Lithopass Printing can provide banners, signs, and blueprints. Think of Lithopass Printing in Bannon and Yucaipa for quality graduation, birthday party, and baby shower invitation. Lithopass Printing also provides lamination, faxing, and photo prints. If you need it inked, make it Lithopass Printing in Bannon and Yucaipa. Lithopass Printing.
Jitters Coffee, a coffee shop that gives a double shot of quality. We offer top shelf coffee at a great price. Brewed hot or cold, you won't find a better cup of joe. Not a coffee connoisseur? Then try our Red Bull infusions to energize your day. We also have delicious pastries and sweets, baked in-house or flown in from the best bakeries in the country. Jitters Coffee. Come on in and enjoy your Jitters.
Try Jitters' newest location in Moreno Valley. It's at the corner of Pierce Boulevard and Irish Avenue. Mention the Christopher Show and get half off on your second coffee beverage.
Wow, I never heard of that coffee place. Kidders? I'll have to check them out. Mention that you heard it on this show and they won't do anything for you. So, there. But I'll have to talk to them about it. Anyway, before we get back to Glenn, famous people's birthdays for April today, 12th. Emma Jean Cunningham. I know, right off the, you know that one, right? 1883. She earned her wings in 1976. Big-time photographer doing industrial landscapes and botanical. I love industrial landscapes. I say my wife is a photographer. She's done shows all over the world. She's even in a museum or two. Of course, doesn't make any money at it, but she does industrial with monsters and sci-fi things. Anyway, Emma Jean, actually worked with Edward C. Curtis, and I'm sure everybody is kind of familiar with that name and the sepia tone pictures of Indian life. She also worked in Vanity Fair, for Vanity Fair in the 1930s, doing celebrities and artists. Now, here's one that even Sean heard of, right? Tiny Tim. And he joined us in 1932, before I was here, and he left us in 1996. Tip Throw Through the Tulips. Who's going to sing that for us? Sean? How about Glenn? I
don't know that one.
Anyway, ukulele, you know, he had a passion. He was a passionate record collector, which ties us into tomorrow's record store day. Anyway, he was interviewed on The Tonight Show about singing in the higher register, and we'll leave that to our imaginations. Today is also Herbie Hancock's birthday. He was born in 1940. which is another miracle because it's older than me. And he was considered a child prodigy by age 7. He was brought to Blue Note by Donald Byrd, if you know who that is, but we're not going to tell much time about that this time. But of his main recordings, Maiden Voyage is like everybody's favorite, then Watermelon Man, and Empyrean Isles. And age 11, he actually played Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 26 in D major, the Coronation, with the Chicago Symphony in 1952. I never would have guessed, but why not? He worked with Coleman Hawkins, Sonny Rollins, etc. And who else was born today? David Letterman, 1947, actually younger than me. And he had the Late Show for 33 years. Now, remember, we talked about Johnny Carson and his length of time just recently on the show. And this guy, Letterman, lasted for 3 years more than Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show. It was 1982 to 2015. And just for you, Hound Dog Taylor was born in 1915, passed on in 1975. And he's a Chicago blues singer and guitarist. And among his big hits, Give Me Back My Wig, Kitchen Sink Boogies, Ain't Got Nobody, Buster's Buggy, and The Dog Meets the Wolf. So, back to us dogs here. Glenn, first thing, tell us all about you, how people get a hold of you, because there's going to be more questions. So go ahead and tell people how they get a hold of you and your services.
Sure. So our firm is Intervivos, and we have an office down in Fountain Valley, Southern California. We have another one up in LA area. And our phone number is 877-335-1060. That's 877-335-1060. And again, we help with everything related to estate planning and, everything related to wills, trusts, asset protection planning, business succession planning. And you can also look us up online at intervivosplan.com.
Intravenous plans? No. Better say that for us old people again.
Intervivos plans. That's
now you're talking.
INTERVIVOS.
Us old people get sidetracked with medical stuff every now and then.
That's right.
But I know you mentioned some areas. I know that you spend a lot of time in Utah also. So I know you're not just limited to those areas as far as your services are concerned, right?
That's right. We actually service the whole country.
All right. So anybody out wherever, if you're having coffee at that place in Moreno Valley, Glenn's the man to call. Give us your first and last name again.
Yeah, Glenn Wagstaff.
Okay. And we started talking when we had someone call in. We started talking about Medi-Cal, or what's it called in the other parts of the country?
Medicaid, Medi-Cal.
There you go, Medicaid. Different than an arcade. So, what? Anything else to really think about? We did get into it a little bit there. So we don't really have to talk about it too much more. But
I appreciated that question. There's a lot of crossover when it comes to reverse mortgages and planning around that, and whether you have a trust in place and what are some of those considerations. It's a great question that he had, but really at the end of the day, there's a few considerations when it comes to long-term care. And the Medi-Cal Medicaid program has a long-term care program that's needs-based. So you have to be under asset guidelines and under income guidelines to be able to qualify. But of course, you know as well as I do, Jay, that there's great solutions to plan for how are you going to pay for care. And a lot of the planning I do is how do you make sure that people can make medical decisions when that time comes.
Right. Well, I think everybody should have a trust, number one. And number two, although there's going to be some people that argue, but other than Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and people like that, I think everybody should Well, I'm just going to say it. It's not going to get me in trouble because it's just my opinion. I think everybody should have a reverse mortgage. If not, if you're too young, but if not, everybody should at least look at one. I mean, after all, you have a loan right over here that you have to make a payment on each and every month. If you're a few days late, you get a nasty letter. If you're a little bit later, they add on a late payment. After a few months, you could lose the whole house in foreclosure. And on the other side of the room, we have another loan. Rates about the same, if not the same or less. You make payments when you want to. You don't make payments when you don't want to. Nobody cares. And the most important part, people say the most important part is you still own your home. I think everybody knows that. But the most important part is you still make payments if you want to. And every penny of that payment, regardless of whether it goes towards principal or interest, you, as the borrower, as the homeowner, you still have access to that money, and it grows when you're not using it. So there. I do think that healthcare is the number one reason why someone loses their estate. It's why an estate will crumble. It's certainly not a home loan, but it is health care. But in order to keep that estate together, I would highly recommend calling Glenn about a trust. And anything else about that?
One of the things that a lot of families are concerned with is their home, is making sure that their home is protected, is preserved, that they can, oftentimes they want to leave it to their family, and they're worried about affecting the home. But I'm, like you said, I agree. I think everybody should consider, if they're, within the age limits. I'm still waiting them to lower the age limits for reverse mortgages for me to qualify.
Everybody would, because I think, now people will be forced to understand it, and everybody would want one. But, I'm doing one right now for a guy, $2.25 million home. He has a $250,000 loan on it, which is pretty much nothing. And he has a daughter who, he wants to protect her. He does not have long-term health care. So he want the way to protect that house, the way for him to never ever have to sell that house. Well, never. You never have to say never, never. But to protect him from ever having to sell and lose that house, he's buying insurance. Again, I don't talk about insurance much. I don't. I'll have somebody on who does. I don't sell those. I don't make any money from those. I don't whatever. But he's getting long-term. He's too old for long-term health care, but I guess there are other products where you can get yourself a long-term health rider or something like that. So, and I think you work with some people that can do that, right, Glenn?
We work with a lot of those advisors. So there's a lot of great solutions out there, and they all interconnect. And at the end of the day, what we want to listen to when we sit with clients and when we sit with people who are in that situation is listen to what are they most concerned with. If they're most concerned with protecting the home and making sure that either the home is preserved or making sure that everybody's going to get their share from the estate, then they definitely want to have a trust plan, because that's where you can outline those desires. And you can make sure that, if you want the home to be kept, you express that in writing. And especially if you are, receiving benefits, then the current, program under Medi-Cal is that if you have a trust, then Medi-Cal is not going to go collecting, your home from your estate because it passes outside of probate.
And of course, with a reverse mortgage, your estate's protected. We have a couple of minutes. I want to get this one closer to on time because we went over a little last segment. And I hate to finish off on something really negative, but go ahead and explain what happens when you pass away, earn your wings, as we say on this show, and do not have a will or trust, and how expensive that is.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people think that they avoid what's called probate by having a will, but if you have a will, you will go through probate. And
a will, just remember, a will means you will.
That's right. It costs a lot of money. It takes a long time. It can cause family problems very easily. And it's a public process, and most people just don't want that hassle, and they don't want to leave that for their family.
No, because that's a lot of work for the family, and they have other things, especially right after the death of a loved one, that should be taking up your mind and heart and whatever, and that's probably not one of them. But tell us to, and I'll go, I promise. Sean, I'll sign off in a minute, but what's the cost of probate in California? What's an average cost, or what's the formula, which is not negotiable from what I understand?
Well, yeah, so there's statutory fees is what they call that. By law, they're mandated, right? And an attorney can charge a percentage-based fee, which is based on the size of the estate. So even for let's say a $500,000 estate, $500,000, including everything, your house, your retirement, everything, you're looking at upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 in legal fees to go through that process.
Wow. And it's not arguable because it's statutory.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch. Oh, well. So we got over that. So we'll just have a happy...
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
So we'll have a happy 1/3 of the show coming up. But right now, I will say, give it back to Sean and his people and advertisers. And remind you, KMET 1490, and call Glenn, 951-922-3532, 951-922-3532. Thanks so much.
Hello, I'm Dr. Foujan, and I have great news for you. I'm offering a special time-limited offer to anyone who's interested in online therapy or coaching sessions. I've developed the awareness integration model, which allows in only 12 weeks to raise your self-esteem and confidence and let go of your thoughts and emotions that produce depression and anxiety for you. So call today to schedule your online session and save $600. Call me today at 818-648-2140. That's 818-648-2140, or go to www.foujan.com.
Our records indicate that you've been lied to. Listen to the truth. Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on KMET.
Decades ago, scientists discovered why Greenland Eskimos maintain healthy hearts despite their high-fat diets. The high level of omega-3 oils in their seafood diet protected their hearts. Carlson Norwegian fish oil provides those important omega-3 oils. The same omega-3s from cold water fish support maximum brain power, immune strength, joint comfort, and our vision too. Carlson, the very finest fish oil, is a valuable source of the important omega-3s, EPA and DHA. Each teaspoon provides a full 1,600 milligrams of omega-3s. And its purity is guaranteed. Try it on salads and popcorn. It tastes like lemon, not fishy. As for Carlson, the very finest fish oil, at finer health food stores today.
Hello, listeners. This is Christopher from The Christopher Show. Hey, if you missed one of our shows here at KMET, don't worry about it. You can go to our webpage, and that's KMET1490am.com. Go to the homepage, click on the SoundCloud tab, and hear any show anytime you want.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Don't miss out on the free KMET smartphone apps. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
Good afternoon. I hope you're not stuck on the freeway, or if you are, it won't be too long. Welcome back to the Educated Retirement here on KMET 1490. Write this number down, whether you need it now, in the future, whenever. 951-922-3532. 951-922-3532. And remember, we have Glenn with us today for those questions about, everything legal or semi-legal. Well, that kind of connotes illegal. No, everything legal or things that are related to legal questions and that kind of thing. Now, to keep me out of hot water, I'm going to run through what happened this day in history. And I am going to, before I do that, I'm going to introduce Glenn one more time, real quick, give your contact information, and then we'll get back to, hopefully, some more people will call in with some questions. But if not, we've got plenty of our own. Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn Wagstaff with Intervivos Estate Planning Solutions. And our number is 855-335-1060. That's 855-335-1060. And you can find us online at Intervivos, V-I-V-O-S, plan.com.
All right, and we'll be right back with you. So what happened this day in history? Well, 1954, on this day, Bill Haley and the Comets released Rock Around the Clock. He earned his wings in 1981. You know, he was blind in one eye. I didn't know that. I'm not sure to what extent, but he sold altogether 60 million records and 25 million copies of that exact single. 25 million of Rock Around the Clock. Now, that's not considered the first rock and roll record, but considered to have the most influence in bringing rock and roll into the mainstream culture around the world. And in Rolling Stone magazine, it's listed as number 158 on the list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. It came out was over the opening credits for Blackboard Jungle, if you're old enough to remember that, or if that's still around. Great movie. And he also did some other great music, See Ya Later, Alligator, and Skinny Minnie. Not talking about me. Anyway, in 1982, boy, this is a good one. George C. Blickensderfer, Blickensderfer, patented the first truly portable typewriter. And the two models he unveiled were at the 1983 World Columbian Exhibition in Chicago, which made me want to talk about, but we don't have much time. Why are there no World's Fairs anymore? I know I have some good reasons, but then again, who knows? Here's the big thing about that, which really blew me away. So, sometimes little bits of information that don't mean anything to anybody can really blow you away. What he did was he reduced the parts in a typewriter from 2,500 to 250. That's pretty big. So, anyway, in 1976, I can't believe it was this long ago, but yep, Anne Rice debuted her novel Interview with a Vampire, which is the first of the Vampire Chronicles. Did you know that? Anybody read that besides me? Sean, did you read that?
Definitely heard of it. I have never read it myself.
Yeah, I would highly recommend. It's really, really outstanding. And for some of our listeners, in 1989, a guy by the name of Salvatore Philip Bono was first elected mayor of Palm Springs. And that, of course, is Sonny Bono. So let's go from Sonny Bono to Glenn. And we'll just go from there. So, Glenn, we had one question about Medi-Cal, but go ahead and we were also starting to talk about probate. So, what I hear a lot of is that, well, if I have if I have a will, I don't need a trust. And if I have a trust, then everything is absolutely protected. Why don't you go ahead and run through some of the realities there?
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions we talked about earlier. If you have a will, you will go through probate because the only way for the will to be validated is through a court process where the court, looks at what the will says and then they follow the terms that you've put into your will. But that probate process, most people want to avoid, and the easiest way to avoid it is with a proper trust plan.
Now, does a judge have to follow what you put in your will?
Generally speaking, they will. There are situations where the will might not be clear enough, or somebody's contesting the will.
Ah,
and it's
there
really
you go.
easy.
When you got when there's more than one child.
That's right. It's really easy for when there's multiple family members, and it's already in court. It's already in probate for them to just say, you know what, I don't agree, and all of a sudden now you got a court battle where you wouldn't have had that if it never went to court in the first place.
Right. So, best to do that. And you're the best to do that with, right? Or one of the best.
That's right.
So,
That's right. We have multiple attorneys that specialize just in doing that. And, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that that's something that's addressed, before the problem happens, because in the last minute is the worst time to try to address it.
That's exactly what I try to tell people about the reverse mortgage. And I didn't have you on to talk about reverse mortgages, but that is exactly, you don't want to wait until you need it. You want to be prepared, and prepared well in advance.
That's the biggest power of the reverse is to be able to have that, access to funds when you need it, and without having to add to your tax liability or add to your, accessible income or assets that would affect benefits. It's a really flexible option if you get it in place before you need it.
Right, because if you get it when you're 62, you're going to have a whole lot more money by the time you're 85 than if you wait until you're 85 to get it. And when I say have money, that doesn't mean you're taking money out of your house. It just means, the money from a reverse mortgage or the benefit goes on a shelf. Doesn't cost really, until you take it out, you're not paying for it. So that has to be kept in mind. But again, I wanted to, let's talk more about your situation, your services. What do you think, let me just ask you, what do you think most of your calls, when you get calls from retired people, who do you think they are from mostly? Not from, we just said that, retired people or older people. What kind of questions do you get mostly?
One of the real common questions is, I did my trust years ago, and I want to know if it's still valid or if I need to update it. And, if you haven't looked at your plan in years, we call it a living trust for a reason. It's a living document. It needs to evolve as you evolve and your situation evolves. And we come across documents a lot of times that were done 20 years ago when your kids were under 18. Now they're grown up and they have kids, and your entire situation's changed, and you may or may not actually want things to go the way that you planned way back then.
Right, and some of the people you wanted to handle it, maybe they're not the people you want to handle it any longer.
Sometimes they're the worst people to handle it at that point.
Yeah, because there's so much elder abuse out there. What do you think is one of the biggest elder abuse problems out there? Do you get into much of that?
We do. One of the biggest, most common issues that comes up, it's the most abused financial instrument that exists is the power of attorney. And what we see sometimes is, a family member will run and get dad or mom to sign a document while they're in the lucid period, right? They may or may not actually have capacity anymore, and now they have control over assets. And if the bank allows them to, then they can move money or take money or use it for their own benefit. And that's something that actually happens quite often.
Now, is there a type of power of attorney that will only happen under certain circumstances that the elder person can preset? Something that will trigger it?
Exactly. There's something called a springing durable power of attorney, which is not active immediately, but it will become active at the point that you're incapacitated. And then you can actually define what incapacity means, but most of the time it's the opinion of, two independent physicians. And so, it'll be there when you need it, but it won't be active until you need it.
That sounds pretty good. I know when I do a mortgage with someone who, and a lot of times it's because the client really can't take care of themselves. Sometimes the power of attorney, sometimes they want to do it just because it's easier, but we try to keep away from that kind of thing. What we really generally need is, other than the power of attorney, is a doctor's letter stating that this person is, in good shape, lucid, whatever, at the time that they execute the power of attorney. And then we need another letter at a time later saying that person is no longer able to handle their own situation. And the other thing that and I don't know whether you tell your people this, but that power of attorney should be recorded. Is that what you say, or is that what you see?
So, there's not a requirement to record it.
No.
But it does help to be able to show that that's the one that should be followed.
Yeah, I need, in order to do a reverse mortgage, and I'm not sure, it's been so long since I've done the other types, I need to show it that it's recorded for it to work. And sometimes that's been a real hassle. So that's why I tell people to try to get that done like ASAP, or quickly too.
Right. Yeah, it can be. And, a lot of the times the best way to avoid exploitation or financial abuse of the elderly is to have a plan that's, it's not good enough for one person in the family to know what the plan is. Transparency is a good thing because it provides checks and balances for other family members to make sure that the plan's being followed. When only one person knows what the plan is, then a lot of times people just assume that things are working out, and actually they're not.
Correct. So transparency, a trust. Now, do you need a will? If you have a trust, do you also need a will, or does one just take the place of the other?
The trust takes the place of the will, except that when you have a trust, you also generally will have a will because it's a type of safety net. It will put everything into your trust that was left out of it. So not only should you have the trust, but you should transfer property into the trust, and then anything that was left out, the pour-over will put into the trust for you.
Pour-over, that reminds me of drinking, doesn't it? Isn't there something with... Anyway, and before we go, which we're about to go, you know what? I'm not going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you instead if you'll come back in the future. I know that you're not available all the time, but I had some other questions. But time went by too fast. So for the last 30 seconds or whatever, please go ahead and give your information again. So that's very important because people have questions.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So again, intervivosplan.com is the website, and Intervivos Estate Planning Solutions. Our phone number is 855-335-1060. We have offices in Fountain Valley and in LA area, and actually we service the whole state and across the country. So 855-335-1060.
Very good. And you or somebody from your office will be able to meet people one way or the other, or all different ways. I gotta go, but I'm gonna miss you, and thank you very, very much, everyone, for listening in. Thanks to Glenn, and thanks especially also to Sean. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Educated Retirement Show with Jay Kaplan. Tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. to learn more about your mortgage and reverse mortgages. And don't forget, each show is also podcast